We are a trusting people. Think about how many things you trust on a regular basis. I mean, you go to bed at night and you set your alarm because you trust that it's going to go off in the morning and wake you up. And then as you wake up, my guess is you probably go and brush your teeth and you turn the knob trusting that clean water is going to come out of the faucet. You trust the cars that you drive, maybe the planes that you ride in. You trust the chairs that you sit in. If you didn't, you would never sit down. We trust that as we send a text, the other person will receive it or that our phone will be working. We trust so many things that we don't even really think about. It's just a regular part of our life. We are a trusting people. But when it comes to trusting God, why is that often so hard to do? As we're in our Bible reading and we're looking at 1 Samuel, the 7th and 8th chapters, you really see a lot of trust happening. In many ways, at least for me, in some ways how trust is reflected in my own life. Now sometimes trust is not reflected. So in 1 Samuel 7, the Ark of the Covenant, the chest of the Lord has been returned to the people, and they're trusting God. They're feeling close to God. But after just a few verses, it says a time passed, a total of 20 years. And in that 20 years, people lost sight of trusting God. They started trusting in all these other things, all these little gods and the resources they have and the people around them, and a lot of things other than God. And Samuel goes to them in his wise leadership and he says, hey, set your heart on the Lord. Worship only Him. And so the people repented and they said, let's only trust God. And they got rid of all the things that they were placing their trust in except for God. And they placed their trust back in God. And shortly after this time, the Philistines, this group of people who often came against the nation of Israel, is coming to battle them again. And the people go to Samuel and they say, please don't stop praying to the Lord our God for us, so God will save us. They knew that Samuel was a man of prayer and a person who trusted God. And when they saw this enemy coming against him, they went to Samuel and said, please pray for us, because we know that God listens to your prayer. I wonder how many times you've done that, or at least I know I've done that. There's been times in my life where things are really good and things have gone well and I see God at work, and so I place my trust in God. But not too long after that, I just start putting my trust in other things. Maybe it's my own abilities, or it's my resources, or it's other people, or whatever it might be around me. But it's not necessarily God. And I forget about trusting God until everything goes wrong and you get the news that you didn't expect to get, or the car wreck that might have occurred, or the job that you lost, or the relationship isn't in the place that you want it to be. And in that moment, then you either go to someone else, like the people did to Samuel, or maybe you yourself will turn back to God. And you want God to fix it. You want God to make it all right and all better. And usually God's at work in ways we can see and that we can't see. But I know that's how my life flows when it comes to my own trust in God. Many times I feel real confident. I'm putting my faith in God and I'm trusting God. But then I get complacent and I do my own thing. And the things of the world become more of a trust for me than the Lord. That was the same here as you read through chapter 7. And then as you read in through chapter 7, after God listened to Samuel and heard his prayer, and the Lord helped the Philistines, it said he sent a thunder, and the Philistines went into a panic, and they were defeated. And so the Israelites once again trust God. And as you continue to read, a long time passes once again. As we move into chapter 8, if you look at the 4th verse, it says, now Samuel has gotten old. And they come to him and they say, you're old. Which isn't the nicest thing, but they say, you're old. And your sons don't follow in your footsteps. So appoint us a king to judge us like all the other nations have. It seemed very bad to Samuel when they said this. Give us a king to judge us. So he prayed to the Lord. You see, Samuel wanted them to place their trust in God and God alone. They didn't need a king because they had God. And they went to Samuel and they said, you're old and we thank you for governing us and leading us, but we really want someone like all the other nations who have a king. We want a king. And Samuel said, you don't need that. You just need to trust God. And what did Samuel do? He thought it was a bad idea, but he went and prayed to the Lord. Now I want to invite you to think about Samuel's leadership as you've been reading these first few chapters of Samuel. One of the most remarkable leadership points that was about Samuel, his character, was that he trusted God. And that he trusted God and he turned to God in prayer in all things. So think about your trust of God and how you might trust God more in each and every aspect of your life. And the easiest way to start doing that is just to turn to God in prayer. In those places where you're worried, trust God enough to be in prayer and to let God know what is going on. In those places where you need relationships mended or reconciled or made new in some way, trust God in those places by first praying for those relationships. And there's other areas of your life where you feel maybe far away from God and you're looking to trust God. Do the most simplest thing you can do. Trust God enough to tell God what is going on. That is what Samuel did. He trusted God. He turned to God in prayer. And he listened for where God was at work in his life. So what would it look like if we would do the same thing? Just as much as we sit down in every chair each and every day and we trust that it's going to hold us up. What if in each and every moment we were turning to God in prayer, inviting God into those spaces, trusting that God would be at work? My guess is, much like Samuel, we would know how to lead well. We would know how to live well. We would know how to love well as we trust God. Go in peace.